Hello everybody and welcome back to the Formula Fred Racing channel. And I mean, well, if you can't beat them, you gotta join them, eh? And this is my review of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Oh, no, can't do this. That's a bit better. Got my Ferrari red on now, so we can get on with the show. So before we begin properly, let me just say, let's have a huge shout out for all the amazing liveries that were on show this weekend, all the Las Vegas special. Here. Yeah, they were just incredible. I mean, the best one for me was that Ferrari. It was just beautiful. It was harping back to the days of Vettel and Alonso. Yeah, the red and white just works so well on that car. What a setting for the Grand Prix then this weekend. All we heard in the run-up was just negativity. It was going to be a car park, it's just going to be like the last one, it's going to be rubbish. The track's awful, it's too cold, nothing's going to run right. There's not going to be any crowds, it's too expensive. And I mean, wow, what a show we had. It was just incredible. I mean, yes, it was a bit too expensive. Yes, there were a few hours this weekend, but on the whole, wow, what a Grand Prix it was. And I, for one, am very glad that we're going to be going back there for the next 10 years. Fingers crossed, I'll be there one day. Now, I won't spend too much time talking about practice and qualifying. Yeah, there was so much that went on in the race that we got to spend the bulk of the time talking about that. But I have to mention a few things, and it was strike one in practice, FP1 and 2, I mean, what were they doing? Carlos Sainz, mind his own business, going down the straight, bang, drain cover comes up. And I mean, it's not the strangest of things to happen, but I mean, to delay your next practice session by 2.5 hours and send everybody home so you're in front of an empty crowd, that, for me, I was thinking, no, we're on for a terrible weekend here. It's exactly as was predicted. And I mean, as a fan, seeing empty grandstands, you're like, nope, this is not right. On to a brief summary of qualifying then. And I mean, whew, Ferrari, they made us believe that they were going to do something special this weekend. I mean, P1, P2 on the road. Oh, wow. That lap from Charles Leclerc, just unreal. But I have to say, this brings me on to strike two. How can the officials give Carlos Sainz a penalty for that? Yes, I understand that he used too many parts. Yes, I understand that there is technically no legislation for things like this, but when the track breaks and breaks your car, 10 places for that? Yeah, maybe penalise them with a 3 place just for the sake of it and go that we get it. But 10 place, that virtually destroyed his race. And I mean, poor guy. Yeah, just felt so bad for him on that. That really could have killed the race because it would be Charles and Max on the front row. And yeah, we know what happens when Max starts P2. He's not there for long, is he? So, back onto Charles Leclerc lap. Oh, absolute, it was such a great lap that Max didn't even bother coming out for his final run. He just was like, I'm not beating that, I'm going back in. And this led to one of the most spectacular sights that I've ever seen on the Sphere. Charles Leclerc on there, he must have been absolutely buzzing with that. I mean, it just looks so cool. That feat of engineering on the Sphere, I mean, it's right up there with the RB19 for me. Like, it is unbelievable. Race time! Lights, camera, action. I mean, you had them all right from the off. We had it there. Charles Leclerc made us all believe from qualifying. Max there. He's got the bit between his teeth. He hates Vegas. He was very vocal about that all weekend, saying I shouldn't be there and it's just a spectacle. So it was the hero versus the villain. It was action from moment one. So lights out and away we go. And who didn't see this coming? Max running Charles wide on the first corner. I mean, he knew what he was doing. Cold tyres, yeah, right, there was no chance. He was always going to push him off there, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. Everybody should have known right then, give the place back. But as usual, stewards take so long that it just makes a punishment ever so slightly farcical. And that, for me, was strike 3. Waiting all that time for Max to get away and then giving him a 5-second penalty, and at that point it was 2.5 seconds clear, leading to absolutely awful radio messages between him and GP, where he gets told about the 5-second penalty and then he's like, oh, send them my regards. I mean, how petulant can you be? You've got P1, you've got away with it again, you've smashed everyone this season, like, just have a bit of humility. I mean, it's just not what you'd expect from a champion. So at this point, I truly believed that it was going to be the carnage that I predicted. Corner 1, other than Max and Charles, Alonso spinning with no one else around him, no one involved. You don't see that. Carlos Sainz doing the same. I thought, oh, here we go. The cold tyres, they've come into their own now. I mean, this is going to be mental. It's easily going to be cars going out here, there, everywhere, but damn, they built strong. So no one went out at this point. So yeah, well done to all the engineers, I suppose. Lap 4, we're looking at the camera and we see tiniest thing in the corner. There's sparks flying everywhere. We see a car going straight off, and yeah, a couple of seconds go by and we're thinking, what's going on? We're not seeing anything. And then pictures come up. My heart completely sank when we see it's Lando Norris. He's out of the race. He was just a passenger in that crash, and thank God he didn't take out his teammate. Lap 17, and yeah, we've been seeing the overtaking. Everyone had been getting back into the rhythm after the safety car. Then Lewis went for a overtake, fairly standard overtake, and both just brushed tyres, fairly innocuous if you ask me. And yeah, it just completely destroyed Hamilton's race. He got a puncture which didn't show up straight away, and unfortunately just past the pit entrance when they found out there was a real issue. So he had to do a full lap on a deflated tyre, and that just destroyed his race. I mean, he got back to P7 after his teammate's 5-second penalty was put on, but I mean, yeah, what could have been? Which leads me nicely onto that incident with Max and George. Now, for me, George, he's just not getting any luck from the stewards, no love at all. Every single time he's out racing at the moment, 5-second penalty here, there, everywhere. And my take on it, yes, it was his fault. He could have done more to avoid it, and he's taken full responsibility. But he wouldn't have expected Max to dive up there. Like, he came from so far back, just turning in, and for me, just a racing incident. They could have just let them both carry on, but as it's George, you knew he was going to get a penalty there no matter what. Other than these, I mean, to be honest, there's too many moves for me to even go into it was just here, there, everywhere. Yeah, there's just moves up and down the grid. Meanwhile, the people that pitted under the VSC right after lap 1's incident, they were just minding their own business, just coming through, and namely Ocon and Perez. I mean, you guys know, I predicted them for some good stuff this weekend, and I was sitting there I was like, ooh, hello, what's going on? Yeah, they just lucked out with that safety car coming a few laps after they'd pitted, so they just jumped forward, and yeah, I honestly thought I was on for a cracker of a weekend then. To be honest, Verstappen's penalty, it did finally make things exciting, because we ended up having a three-way fight for the lead, because Leclerc and Perez, they were just fighting it out at the front, then Verstappen fighting back through, having to pass 3 or 4 cars, and I mean, you knew that he was going to be there eventually, but yeah, it was more or less, how long are they going to hold him off? Perez did finally take Leclerc, and we were expecting to wave goodbye and say, look, he's off, and how long is it going to be for Max to pass Charles, and then how quickly can he then get up the road and catch Perez? But no, he just couldn't pull away, and yeah, I felt so bad for him then when he had that extra wing on, so it turned out he was a sitting duck on the straights, and this led to his demise because Max passed them both and sailed off into the abyss. Then it was going to be a Red Bull 1-2, and we're thinking, right, yeah, nothing really going to happen for the rest of the race. But no, Leclerc had different ideas, and on one of the last corners, he was like, I'm sending this, I'm doing this for my boys back in Italy. What a pass on the final lap. I was off my seat, yes, get in there, my son. And that's 2 weekends in a row where Perez has lost a position on the final lap. Last weekend it was for the podium. This time, yeah, thankfully he was still on the podium, but yeah, P2. That would have been a nice way to seal him for P2 in the championship. On to my predictions. Let's see how I did. As we know, my prime performer for this weekend was Esteban Ocon. And yeah, I knew there was going to be carnage. I thought he was going to take advantage, but going from P17 to P4 in this race, wow, well done. When he qualified P17 on Saturday, I thought, oh great, I'm going to be here telling you guys that I've got another big fat L, but no, he proved me right, and yeah, great race, well played. So that's tick 1 for me. Mr. Underwhelmer. Now, it was Yuki Tsunoda. I told you he hated street circuits. I wasn't wrong. P20 in qualifying, went out in the race, wasn't even having that great a race. It started well, but yeah, just kept falling backwards. And yeah, no crashes, which, I mean, is a win for him, I suppose. But yeah, it's also a win for me. So tick, 2 for 2 so far. Pole position, predicted Max Verstappen. I thought, finally, I need some points here. No, the one time I predicted him to do it, he fails. So cross P2, P3 on the road, but c'est la vie, we move on. Top 3 time, I predicted Ocon, Norris, Perez. 3 points up for grabs, 0 points taken. I mean, I wasn't far off with Ocon P4, Perez P3. Yeah, they're just not in the right order for this one. And the final prediction, Fred's far-fetched forecast. I predicted that only 12 cars were going to finish this race. I thought, bang, there's going to be crashes, there's going to be people breaking down, everything. And on corner 1, I thought, it's going to be easy. Like, 12 cars will be left by halfway. But no, like I said before, they've built these cars strong. And it turns out only 3 cars didn't finish. So, yeah, that's another fail for me. 2 out of 6 this time, better than last week. So, join me later this week for my predictions for the final round in Abu Dhabi. I mean, there's not really anything to play for, but Hey, let's hope it's going to be a great race and join me then. Bye bye.